This bottle was on round 4.
Oh, that's very nice.
So this is like a little fireside chat kind of thing, huh?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is NCNLocal TV, and we're here chatting at the winery with its owner, Tom DeChiaro. Tom, whenever anybody comes in here for the first time, in fact, I was just talking with somebody I know, Patrick Bergen, who used to work at Chase Media Group, and it's the first time he came in here, and immediately he said, this place is stunning. Can you just talk a little bit about what you did to totally restore this historic church in Yorktown, and what your vision is, you know, in terms, first, of the whole architecture and interior design?
Okay. Well, Bruce, as you know, you and I talked about this many times. As soon as I came into this building 5 years ago, I realized that this building was a gem and it needed to be restored. And so we came in, looked at the building. I brought in a wonderful design firm, and collectively, you know, tried to restore this building to as close to the original structure as we could. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. I mean, we even had some of the parishioners who used to go to church here come in and view it after we finished the restoration. And we got a lot of positive accolades about that.
And how old is the building?
The building was built in between 1911 and 12, so almost 100 years. Almost 100 years.
So you have to have a 100th anniversary celebration.
We actually could do that for, you know, we'll do that for 2011 and 2012. You know, start a construction, end the construction.
Right, right. And can you summarize? I mean, as you and I both know, we could be here all night talking about the history of your recent experience with the town of Yorktown, as you've been trying for quite a while to open this place as an official commercial establishment.
Right.
But can you just give us a quick update on where things stand, and actually when you think maybe you will be able to open?
Well, the earliest we can get our final approvals would be the end of May, but more realistically, it looks like at the end of June, when we go back in front of the zoning board. The only issue we're really resolving now is the parking plan, and I believe we had a meeting with the planning department this past Friday, and the way that went down, it looks like we're talking about a 1 or 2 spot differential in the way the square footage lays out, and we think that that's very manageable. And I believe, I was not at the meeting, but from the feedback I got, the planning department was working very, very good with us, and so we're feeling confident we'll be able to get through that. I think once the parking plan is finalized, we have to do a couple of more things like a traffic study and a wetlands flagging. We should be good to go for the special use permit.
So is it that the planning board wants a minimum number of parking spots?
It's based on the Yorktown code, which based on the square footage and the usage within the building, that determines how many spots you need. So we're actually at the most stringent rule, because we have to use the rule for a restaurant,
right,
even though we're not a restaurant, because that's the way the code is written.
So how many spots will you end up with on premises?
Right now, we have shown on the plan 39 spots, and you know, the estimate from Yorktown is we need 41. So we're talking about a 2-spot differential, and I think that's because the square footage that was reviewed by the town it could be tweaked a little bit. Like there are certain things that are not actual patron space that were originally calculated, and then we also have to take into account that the walls are 2 feet thick. So when the town was reviewing it, you know, you look at the perimeter of the building, it's actually 4 feet less on both sides because the walls are 2 feet thick.
Oh, okay.
So once we get that sorted out, we think we're going to be within the parameters of the spot requirements.
Right. And I know that there also has been an issue, at least on the part of certain legislators, about the traffic on Route 6 and how the winery, when it's officially open, will affect traffic on Route 6. And I'm going to editorialize right now because today, and now it's May 8th, 2010, Saturday, I happen to be going down Route 6 in Shrub Oak and Mohegan Lake towards Cortland Town Center. And the thought that occurred to me, having nothing to do with the winery, is that, you know, when they approved all of the stores on the Mohegan Lake strip of Route 6, I guess they didn't take into account how it would affect traffic, because it's horrendous. It's backed up bumper to bumper. When you're coming back from Cortland Town Center up that hill towards Lexington Avenue, that's also just a huge headache with the traffic backed up. So clearly, there's traffic problems totally unrelated to the winery that they never addressed. Now, all of a sudden, they're saying that this relatively small place compared to all of the stores on the Route 6 strip is going to create a problem. So where does that stand?
Well, that's an interesting question. Quite frankly, Bruce, I mean, if you came back this evening, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, when really we get most of the patrons who arrive here, you'll see that the traffic is nowhere near as significant as it is during the day on Saturday or during rush hours during the week. And so it's of our opinion, I mean, all you have to do is come here with a camera and take some pictures. When we have the significant amount of people here, there is no traffic. So I don't think there's a major issue at all. I believe the town just wants to get a traffic study updated from the last time it was done for this particular project, but I don't think it's going to show any significant increase in traffic that would cause a problem. I believe this is a formality. At least that's what I'm led to believe.
Now, who's going to pay for that study?
Well, unfortunately, this has been one of the hang-ups here. The town wants you to pay for the traffic study. They want you to pay for wetlands flagging. They want you to do all of these things. And my contention was, well, first let's make sure the use is going to be a viable use within the town code. And if it is, and they can always give you a conditional approval on the completion of these things, instead of you having to expend money prior to knowing you get approved. Because I think it's unfair to a property owner to ask them to spend money on stuff until you know an approval is imminent.
Right, right.
I mean, that's just common sense.
Yeah, well, and then of course the other thought that occurs when you are sitting in that terrible traffic on Route 6 in Mohican Lake and Shrub Oak is that if they had done a traffic study when that zoning was approved, whoever did the study didn't do a very good job, or they didn't execute the study.
Let me editorialize on this,
right.
because quite frankly, the thing about Yorktown that sort of drives people crazy is the Home Depot that is now in the Cortland Town Center was originally planned to go in Yorktown, and the Yorktown administration fought that. Now what ends up happening is they move right down the road to Cortland, and Yorktown ended up with all the traffic, but none of the sales tax revenue or any of the jobs. So really, it's the Cortland Town Center that causes most of the traffic jam up here. But there is ways to solve these problems on Route 6 if we get creative. Right now, these lanes are 12 feet wide. State law said they can be as small as 9 feet. If you do the math, you can potentially get 2 lanes in each direction from where Route 6 is at my building all the way through to Lexington Avenue, and that can alleviate problems just by painting lines. But it's hard to get anybody to pay attention to, even though the state law allows for that.
Right. Also, why don't you tell everybody watching this, our audience, about the open houses that you're now having on the weekends and how long they're going to be, taking place.
So what we've done is we're having what I'll call special events every Friday and Saturday. Right now, we're going to go through the middle of July, from now until the middle of July. And what we're doing is anybody who comes in here and buys a glass of wine, they're helping us raise some money for public awareness, to make sure the politicians understand what's going on. So it really supports our political committee, which is trying to do, awareness, and to make sure that the people who are going to be running in the next election are the kind of candidates that are pro-business, that understand what the taxpayers, how high their taxes are, that are not going to go out and recklessly spend our money. So it's a good thing for not just the business, my business, but good for all the businesses and all the residents who are in the town.
Right.
So come on over and have a glass of wine.
Right. And it's Friday and Saturday.
Fridays and Saturdays from 4 p.m. to about 2 a.m.
And how long will that be going on? Through all of May?
Through all of May, through all of June, and part of July. And then we'll announce more dates later on.
Right. Now, you've also announced that you're running for Congress.
Correct.
What's the status of that campaign?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you. It's very interesting. The process is going forward. We're expected to have a convention at the end of May, beginning of June. We have 5 candidates in the race right now, and so we're not really sure how it's all going to shake out, but what I can tell you is it's been a very, very interesting and educational process for myself, and I believe that the parties are going to select the appropriate candidate, even if it's not me, to run this campaign. But from my perspective, it's been an excellent exercise, and it was very educational and informative.